Hey there guys, it's AvidExpert here. Today I'm going to be discussing all of the recent information we have gotten. There's been quite a lot of interviews, videos, reviews, as well as people getting to play the first 5 hours of the game, and I just want to talk about that with you guys and discuss what we're going to be expecting and my honest opinions on what I'm feeling about Resident Evil 7, and I just want to highlight a few things too. Another thing I'd like to say is that a really cool person from the community wants to send me a PlayStation VR with a PlayStation 4 so I can stream the entire Resident Evil experience to you guys. He just loves the content and he loves the channel as much as anybody else, and he's a really cool guy. I mean, I've talked to this guy on the Discord personally, and on that note, you guys can join the Discord. It'll always be in the description if you want to come. But yeah, this guy got to know me personally and he appreciates the channel and the content I produce, and we can all experience the VR portion of Resident Evil 7 together. Honestly, I just want to say thanks to that guy a lot. That means a hell of a lot to me. I really never thought I'd get to the point where somebody was going to send me a gift. That's just an incredible thing, to be honest. And I'm just so happy how far the channel's come and how far you guys are pushing me. You mean everything to me, and honestly, that's just freaking phenomenal. So yeah, thank you so much. The guy's name is Mentrix, by the way. He's from my community, so if you guys could go and give him a shout out and a thank you as well, I would appreciate that too. Just show him all the support you can, guys, because he's helping the channel out a lot here, and we'll all have an awesome experience when Resident Evil 7 comes out because of that. But without any further delay, let's just get right into the content anyway. So as I said earlier, quite a few gaming journalists got to get a first 5-hour review of Resident Evil 7, and they've all given their own reviews and interpretations of the events. And Polygon had quite an awesome article on this that had some information that I've previously said and confirms it once again. But it also makes a few points that I'd like to discuss here in this video and talk to you guys about, and I'd like to see if you guys have any opinions on them as well. Resident Evil 7 starts Ethan out very helpless. After the startling dinner scene, the protagonist escapes and is left to wander around the giant bayou house this family lives in, but Jack is wandering the house too, and if he sees Ethan, he'll come charging at him swinging a shovel, axe, spiked mace, or some other extreme weapon. In the first hour or so of the game, Ethan has no real defense against Jack. Even after he picks up a pistol, headshots will merely slow down the imposing enemy. You've got no real hope to stand up to him. Instead, the game embraces a structure that feels more like a modern horror sensation, Amnesia: The Dark Descent. Major portions of Resident Evil 7 are spent hiding in the shadows, sneaking from room to room or trying to avoid enemies of supernatural strength. This isn't just Jack, by the way. In a later segment, after Ethan has become more well armed, picking up a shotgun and makeshift flamethrower, he's pitted against Marguerite, the family's mother. While she may not have the brute strength of Jack, she has a disturbing power of her own. She can summon a swarm of powerful mutant insects and send them after the player. So as a lot of people have assumed, Jack is definitely resembling the Nemesis or Mr. X, appearing sequentially throughout the story as we advance, and we don't really lose tail of him. I'm sure there will be more than enough sections without Jack, as this article does seem to implicate that the Marguerite section is with herself alone. And from other interviews, it seems when you were fighting the Molded in the basement, you weren't actually encountering the Bakers at all, and it seems like each area has a different theme going along with it. So Jack Baker is going to be the relentless pursuit and never being able to really take down your opponent, your only defense being the ability to temporarily stop him. However, in the first hour, as it says, you really don't have a defense against Jack. The early handgun you get and probably the limited ammo seems just enough to slow him down, which seems like a good trade-off, to be honest. It does seem to slow him down a little bit, which gives you some time to breathe, and you may actually have to use this to get through certain moments in the game if he is really pressuring you. I can understand the comparisons to Amnesia: The Dark Descent here, honestly, and I know a lot of people have been trying to avoid admitting that or acknowledging it at all, myself included, to be honest. But it only seems like this is going to be exclusive to the early portions of the game. I'm not saying we won't be able to use stealth or sneak later in the game, but our weaponry is certainly going to expand. Now, talking about the ability to swarm powerful mutant insects, I actually have a whole theory on that, but that's not what I want to discuss today. I just want to talk about how the themes are different and continue that argument onwards. So again, Jack's about the relentless pursuit and never being able to get a break, and it seems like Marguerite's going to be about stealth and avoiding her, and if you do get a contact engagement with her, you're going to be swarmed by so many insects that you're going to have to retreat and try again. I don't think you'll be able to brute force your way through these segments, and if you do, they'll probably be very difficult. The flamethrower actually might play a prominent role against Jack and Marguerite. You might use it against Jack to temporarily slow him down or even incapacitate him, and against Marguerite it would make sense that we would be able to use it to deter the insect swarms coming after us. I'm sure the Ghost Girl are going to represent the supernatural parts of the game, and I'm still unsure what Lucas is going to play. What is his exclusive theme going to be? I'd like to hear what you guys think about that, and if you have any theories on how Lucas's theme is going to play into the story itself. Carrying on with the article, we have a big part of the success of Resident Evil 7 scares comes down to the sound design. The game forgoes music most of the time in favor of focusing on the natural noises created by the unsettling environment you're in. The old bio house creaks, the outside wind howls, creating a constant source of tension and uncertainty. Was that Jack I just heard sneaking up behind me, or was it just the settling bones of this ancient building? I never stopped looking over my virtual shoulder to make sure. Now, I actually agree with this. If you guys have been paying a lot of attention with your ears to all of the trailers, tapes, and footage we have seen released, it seems like the ambient noise is extraordinary in this release. Now, soundtracks are extremely important to a game, but they're not the only thing that makes a game. Ambient noise is extremely important, especially to the horror franchise. Like the reviewer said here, that's the perfect form of ambient noise, when you as the player is unable to detect whether it was the environment or the enemy, and this creates a constant state of cognitive dissonance in your mind. You're unable to discern whether you should advance or whether you should take safety, because you don't know if that was an enemy that's approaching you or whether that was just some wind howling against the walls of the building. I'm sure that with this constant level of atmosphere, it's not just the visuals that are going to get to us. All of the time in the game, you're going to feel very unsafe, like anything can pop out of anywhere. Now, if you guys remember the shovel scene out of tape 2 when Jack breaks through the wall, when you're constantly hearing weird rickety noises in other rooms, I'm sure the game's going to condition you to feel very unsafe at these. You literally will not even be able to walk down a hallway with no doors without feeling like you might just be ambushed out of nowhere, and I absolutely love that, to be honest. That is also a really good way to develop a game, and you have to acknowledge, although a soundtrack can be an amazing addition to a game, foregoing it for this atmospheric sound is a very good substitute because it enhances the atmosphere and the experience overall. At this point, fans of the more actiony Resident Evils might be ready to give up, but Resident Evil 7 has them covered as well. A couple of hours into the game, Ethan has his first run-in with it standing for zombies, a new enemy, the Molded, that are formed out of a black tar-like substance. Like the Ganados from Resident Evil 4 or the Magini from Resident Evil 5, Molded are faster and more dangerous than old-school zombies. They require some amount of strategy to take down. Combat options in Resident Evil 7 include a quick turn and a guard button that significantly reduces the damage you take if you just can't avoid getting hit. So as I was saying before, I don't think this game's going to be completely like Amnesia, and that's just more further proof for that if you needed it. The game's definitely going to transition into a more classical Resident Evil experience as we progress through the game and get more into the story. Now, I would like to also say it is highly likely that a lot of elements from the final game were cut out from the review of this game. Polygon themselves have acknowledged that the first hour of the game was cut out, which means that, like I said with the journalist on the other videos that everybody's reporting on, the start of the game is not actually going to be at the Bakers. This is apparently because they wanted to avoid spoilers, but who knows, spoilers in the first hour of the game, that doesn't really make sense if the plot was spoiled in a reverse way and they're trying to hide that. Like, why would you do it at the start of the game, reveal the plot spoilers? This might give some leeway to the leak on Reddit, but who knows? Who knows? They might wanted to have censored that information in case it confirmed some of the bigger plot details in the game. But just remember, we'll only know that when we have the game in our hands. Resident Evil 7 also demonstrates a clear commitment to expanding on combat. An hour after first first encountering the molded, I discovered an area where I could purchase upgrades. Over the course of the game, I had stumbled across a number of ancient coins, and here I could spend these to receive a handful of items. One increased Ethan's maximum health, another improved his reload speed, a magnum revolver, a classic high power weapon in the series, was also available for purchase. These ancient coins seem to unlock bird cages that have perks or weapons inside them. This seems to be Resident Evil 7's version of the merchant or upgrade system, and it does seem like they're choosing this and foregoing this system over actually having weapon upgrades themselves. So I wouldn't actually be expecting weapon customization in the final game at all. It is nice that we can increase our maximum health, however, as well as weapons being available for purchase, and as we saw earlier, we can also find them in the environment, so it looks like some of the weapons will actually be an option where you'll have to choose them over perks depending on how many ancient coins you have, and I actually like that system. It makes you want to explore the environment too, in case there's any ancient coins you missed, and I'm sure the lockpick will be used like in the demo to unlock certain safes, lockboards, and other things that we can access to get ancient coins, as well as crafting items that we can use to make ammunition and health kits. What really impressed me though is the pacing of Resident Evil 7. I don't mean this just in terms of its spooks either. The moment that I found the upgrade system was just as I was beginning to really feel the limits of Ethan's small health pool. Later, just as the game was starting to heap more and more items on me, making inventory management a chore, I came across a backpack that allowed Ethan to carry more stuff. There's a thoughtfulness to the design of the spaces in this game and the speed at which players find things that the series has lacked for some time. It was sorely missed. Now this is really awesome to hear, guys, and I've got a few things to say about this. It does seem like the players will all have a varying skill cap, so some people might have gotten to that first star where you can unlock certain cages and you only have a certain limited amount of ancient coins at that point, and you might be at low health and you've been struggling at low health the entire way through, so obviously the health perk is going to be the no-brainer for you. You're going to grab that and it's going to make your gaming experience much easier. However, what about for a more experienced player? They might want to choose the reload speed or the handgun to increase their offensive capability, which would bolster their capability to handle the situations that they are now approaching. But it might have a trade-off feature where then the health perk was actually more advantageous and they get screwed over. It also adds some diversity in replays because you get a completely different experience each time. There might be a new game plus, but to be honest, I actually think playing a new game each time, if there was, would be a much more entertaining option because you would have a completely different experience, as I said, each time, and you could go for a completely different set of perks. It seems like some of the items will be for utility purposes, such as the backpack and allowing us to carry more storage, and I'm quite interested to understanding how many utility items they may add to the game. But I'm surely appreciating that all of this is paced extremely well. It's almost as if the devs know about the frustrations we'll be feeling during the game based on what they presented us, and they'll offer solutions that will really feel executed at the right time. That's really the last thing I want to discuss. So to conclude everything I've talked about in this video, it seems as we progress through the game, we're going to be facing different themes. That means we're going to have to adapt to each part of the game differently, and we're going to be facing a different set of challenges. The initial hours of the game are going to make us feel very helpless. We're not really going to be able to fight anything, and it's going to be more escaping and stealth than trying to engage anybody outright. The sound design is going to be absolutely astonishing. However, they are favoring atmosphere over a soundtrack. That doesn't mean there will be a lack of a soundtrack, it just means there's going to be priorities. There's going to be a lot of diversity between the enemies we face, so expect to have a lot of different combat and a lot of options available to you. There's also going to be a perk and upgrade system using ancient coins, so we're going to have a currency to be able to improve our character's abilities. And last but not least, it seems that the pacing of the game and the solutions offered to us have been done really well. It's like the devs have been in our minds the entire time. There is one last thing I want to talk about, however. There's a really awesome person in my community in the Discord server named Shad. This person has suggested starting a podcast series talking about various video games, aspects within them, trailers, plot points, theories, and all that good stuff. I'm not sure when the schedule is going to be set up for that. I'm still going through constructing it with him, and I hope we can get a regular set of 4 individuals for this. If you're into that kind of stuff, let let me know in the comments below, because I would really appreciate any feedback you can give on that. It would mean a lot to me if you could just give me your opinion. Do you think that's a good thing, a bad thing? What would you like to see, or any suggestions at all? But anyway, if you got this far, I just want to give you a very special thanks, and as always, have a beautiful day and peace.